Hello and welcome to another episode of Useless Information. My name is Darryl Woods down here in the lower left-hand corner, and I work at Adult Services at Hollywood St. Paul's. And this week we're going to be talking about the category of television, and the topic is Saturday Night Live cast members you probably don't remember. So you might be thinking, oh no, I have no interest in hearing about all these cast members who were so insignificant that nobody can recall them. Well, that's not really what I'm going for here, although there might be a couple there that you don't recall at all. But I'll tell you why they're significant. This is more about cast members who did not have a very significant time on Saturday Night Live, but then went on to bigger and better things, to where you might go, oh yeah, I had no idea they were on. Okay, so anyway, we're going to start chronologically, and we're going to start with the very first episode of the very first show back in 1975. It's a gentleman by the name of George Coe, who was listed as one of the not ready for primetime players on that very first episode. They wanted him because they wanted to appeal to a large audience, as broad an audience as possible, and including people who were over 30 years old. And they thought that having George Coe as part of the cast would probably help. Apparently then they changed their mind, because he did appear in a few more shows after that, but he was never again credited as a cast member. George Coe has gone on to do a number of other things. Before he died at the age of 86, he was perhaps best known as the voice of Woodhouse on the TV show Archer. Jim Downey probably wrote more jokes for Saturday Night Live than anybody else. He worked for Saturday Night Live for 27 years, but was only credited cast member for a single season. So to give you some sense of how long he was with the show, he arrived the very same day that Bill Murray arrived back in 1976, and he ended up leaving at the same time that Fred Armisen, Jason Sudeikis, and Bill Hader did. And for most of us who really follow Saturday Night Live, we think of those people as being relatively recent cast members. He did leave a couple times on his own volition. He was fired once, and then he took a sabbatical to write a book. So it wasn't a straight 27 years, consecutive 27 years, but a total of 27 years. Speaking of the time that he got fired, so this is back when Brandon Tartikoff was running NBC, and Tartikoff was a big friend, I guess, of O.J. Simpson, and he didn't like that O.J. was getting made fun of a lot on Weekend Update. So he told the head writer, who was Jim Downey, you need to stop making jokes about O.J. Simpson. And he refused, and he got shown the door. Seems kind of, for a show that's, essentially exists to make fun of people, it seems weird that there was one person who was just off limits. Oh well. Dennis Miller, who ended up working on Weekend Update also, once said that Downey was the second most important person in the history of the show. Obviously, Lorne Michaels would be the most important. Paul Shaffer. Of course, he played piano in the house band for 5 years. In that 5th year, he officially joined the cast. And he ended up walking out along with the rest of the cast, the writing staff, after that first season, when the network refused to put the show on hiatus as Lorne Michaels requested. So after 5 years, Lorne Michaels said, we want to take 1 year off, then we all want to come back. And the brass at NBC said, no, this is going well. We want to keep it going. You can take a hiatus if you want, but the show goes on. And it did. But of course, they had to rehaul everything. And frankly, it was kind of a disaster. I kind of enjoyed it myself, but most people thought it was a bit of a disaster. Anyway, Schaefer's, of course, best known for his 33-year partnership as David Letterman's music director. And Letterman used to blame Schaefer for having to move his talk show to CBS. He used to say, yeah, we had to leave NBC because Paul was stealing pens and stuff like that. Good fun. So, in that 6th season, in the big overhaul, Gilbert Gottfried was hired as a cast member. And interestingly enough, he was hired over guys like Jim Carrey, Paul Rubin, John Goodman. And then after 12 seasons, almost the entire cast, including Gottfried, was replaced. The only guys who stayed were Joe Piscopo and Eddie Murphy. Don't feel too bad for Gottfried, though. He went on to lend his voice to Iago the Parrot in Aladdin, the Aflac Duck, and many other projects. He's had a fairly successful career in voiceover and on Hollywood Squares and some other things. So in that 6th season, when they had to rehaul the entire cast, Laurie Metcalf was brought in midway through that season. And she appeared in one bit on Weekend Update in one episode and then wasn't invited back. There was a writer's strike, which is why there was only one episode with that brand new cast. They couldn't have possibly, foreseen that there was going to be that right. I mean, they could have foreseen it, but they chose to go ahead with this overhaul because it was going so poorly. Anyway, another one you don't need to feel sorry about. Laurie Metcalf has had big-time roles as Jackie Harris on Roseanne, Sheldon's mom on The Big Bang Theory. She's had success in film stage and other television offerings. Ben Stiller was hired as a featured player at the same time as Adam Sandler, and it was based off of a film that he created that parodied The Color of Money. After about 4 episodes, he quit the show due to creative differences. He has gone on to have a very successful movie career as an actor, director, producer, and writer. He's also the acknowledged leader of the Frat Pack. JANEANE Garofalo was hired in season 20. She effectively replaced Sarah Silverman. Silverman was on there for an entire season. Didn't get a lot of screen time. Neither did JANEANE Garofalo. But then she quit at mid-season. She called the show juvenile and homophobic. Friends of hers stated that she thought it was the very worst experience of her entire life. So, another one who's gone on to a successful movie career. She appeared in Mystery Man, The Truth About Cats and Dogs, Romeo and Michelle's High School Reunion, and things like that. She's also had a large number of television roles. Strong career as a stand-up comedian. Yeah, she's done okay without Saturday Night Live. So, season 11 in 1985 had one of the stranger cast rosters, in my impression. It certainly featured some of the people that you would expect to be on Saturday Night Live around that time. Guys like Dennis Miller on Weekend Update, John Lovitz, Nora Dunn got a lot of camera time. Al Franken, who kind of came and went from the show before he became a senator. But it also had quite a few that you probably don't remember were cast members, like Robert Downey Jr., Anthony Michael Hall, Joan Cusack, Randy Quaid, Dennis's brother. And although he's not pictured here, Damon Wayans, he wasn't one of the repertory cast, as they say. He was a featured player, but he was still a cast member in 1985. That's quite a group of people that you were like, I had no idea that they were on Saturday Night Live, but they were. Okay. So if you enjoyed this, and I hope you did, I think you'll also enjoy our virtual trivia night. It happens every Thursday at 8 p.m. on Facebook. You can just follow the URL that you see here, or just go to Facebook and type in virtual trivia night. And I do want to say thank you to Maya, who always does such a great job of putting together these slides, selecting these pictures, composing everything. She does a marvelous job, and every week, every time that I work with her, I'm astounded by how great of a job she does with all the artwork. If you have a suggestion for a topic for useless information or 10 quick facts, you can email me or you can just drop me a line down below. Thank you very much. Until next time, enjoy yourself.